Welcome, everybody. Today we have with us Dr. Herminia Ibarra, who is the Cora Chair Professor of Leadership and Learning at INSEAD. And Dr. Ibarra is the 2016 Academy of Management OB Division winner of the Outstanding Practitioner-Oriented publication in OB. We are delighted to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled about this award, which was completely unexpected. I think I didn't even know that it existed. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful surprise. Thank you.
Yes, we're delighted to have you here. And today we want to use this as an opportunity just to learn a little bit more about the paper that you submitted that won this award. So could you please provide us with just a brief summary of what the paper is about?
Okay, so the paper is called The Authenticity Paradox, and it was published in the Harvard Business Review in January of last year, 2015. And what the paper is about is a very, something that I just kept observing over and over again in both my research and in my teaching. And that is that despite the fact that we have come to really value and understand the importance of being authentic at work, that it's something we talk about all the time. The fact of the matter is that transitioning into roles that are new and different, and in particular in my more recent research, transitioning into bigger leadership roles, transitioning out of a more specialty expertise kind of role to a bigger leadership position, almost inevitably makes people feel like they're faced with a trade-off between being themselves and being effective. And so if they remain true to themselves, if they are authentic, they will not be as effective. They're getting feedback that their true self is not very effective. And if they adapt to meet what they perceive to be the requirements, they would be faking it. They would not be themselves. And the classic, a very classic example is when you move from a role in which kind of your job is to have the right answer or the right analysis or the right technical solution to a role in which you need to get buy-in for it from other people who don't come at it from the same angle as you or from the same technical background. And you're essentially selling. And people often feel like they're pushed into a corner where they have to favor form over substance, and that they have to dumb it down and jazz it up and speak in 3 bullet points and things that they generally find aversive because they feel like they're being pushed to say things that that are not necessarily established or proved or technically correct. And so that was one example, and there's loads of others. Stepping up into a really big stretch role when you're leading people who are, say, older and more experienced than you, in particular more experienced in other areas, is another one. Networking instrumentally is often the one that gets the biggest votes. People feel rather disingenuous about having to network, particularly with senior people outside their immediate area, because they feel that it is selfish and instrumental, and relationships shouldn't be that way, that they should be only building relationships with people that they genuinely respect and like and admire, and in some cases it's not the case. So anyway, many examples, even trying to react to constructive or negative feedback that you might get on something like a 360, people often feel that when it concerns their style, they're being asked to change who they are. And so what the paper basically says is that the rhetoric of authenticity has not been helpful because it distracts us from the fact that authenticity doesn't have to mean being as you always have been. Authenticity can be an expression of who you hope to become. You might authentically be experimenting with behaviors that don't feel natural or even genuine, but you're trying to learn and you're trying to figure it out. And this is stuff that I had discovered many years ago that I wrote up in a 1999 ASQ paper called Provisional Selves, that shows that when you really don't know how to do the role, oftentimes what you do is you see what other people are doing and you try on elements of style from them until you've figured out which ones are yours, which one you can appropriate, which ones you're going to combine. And so really that's the gist of the paper, which is to say that oftentimes we use the rhetoric of authenticity to kind of protect ourselves from getting outside the comfort zone and being challenged with the need to change how we do things and how we present ourselves to other people.
Thank you very much. That is a really interesting piece, and I'm curious, Dr. Ibarra, if you have any solutions. How do we get past this paradox? What is that manager to do when they're stepping into a new role?
Right. So the way I talk about it is I have an idea of being more playful with your sense of self. You know, we often talk in my field, which is identity research, we often talk about doing identity work, which is trying to kind of work on how you see yourself and how you present yourself. And this is much more an idea of identity play, which is when you don't know exactly where you want to go or what it looks like, you don't have to, or even when you look ahead of you and what you see is not necessarily the most appealing model, or you're not so sure you want to do that or look that way, the best way you can do is to take a playful attitude to say, I'm not going to commit to being this kind of person, but I'm going to experiment with something different than what I would normally do and see what I learn. And take those experiments as really learning strategies rather than intrinsic expressions of who you are. And I have found that helps a lot. Another thing that helps a lot is trying to build a broader portfolio of role models from whom you might learn these things, as opposed to finding one person to emulate or trying to be like one particular individual. If you have a portfolio of different people that you are trying to learn from, it feels more organic. It feels more like a set of things that you might be able to incorporate into yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate your summary. I think this is really important for managers, and I like that idea of identity play, and this idea that maybe it's flexible or it's a process of identity development. Again, thank you for taking time out of your day. Congratulations on winning this award. We really appreciate having you here.
No, I really appreciate the award, and thanks so much for the interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.